20 of the city's best doctors had failed, but a 14-year-old black delivery boy saved the mayor's daughter in just 10 minutes. That story began on a cold night, inside the intensive care unit of St. Augustine Hospital, a place where even miracles seemed too tired to happen anymore. The white lights cast a pale glow on the small face of 9-year-old Emily Grant, the only daughter of powerful Mayor Richard Grant. She had been in a coma for 3 weeks, enduring dozens of blood transfusions, heart stimulants, and detox treatments. No one could understand why such a healthy body had collapsed so quickly. On the monitor, each heartbeat faded like the last flickers of hope. Out in the hallway, Malik Brown stood silently with a delivery box in his hands. He was the son of Marcus Brown, the man who supplied medical materials to the hospital. That day, Malik was only there to deliver a vial of testing reagent, but he saw something no one else could see. As he stepped into the emergency unit, one of the doctors turned around and frowned. "What are you doing here? Delivering pizza or performing surgery?" Laughter rippled through the sterile air thick with the smell of disinfectant. Malik did not answer right away. He set the box down, lifted his head, and said calmly but firmly, "If you were truly doctors, Emily would not be dying from a simple toxin you have never even considered." The room fell silent. A young black delivery boy had just challenged 20 of the city's most respected doctors. No one knew that at that very moment, the door to the truth had opened and the world would never be the same again. A trembling nurse broke the silence. You know something about her condition?" Malik looked at the nameplate that read, "Emily Grant." His eyes gleamed with an uncanny certainty. "Enough to save her," he said. And that was when the battle between prejudice and genius began. His name was Malik Brown, 14 years old, from the southern Bronx, a place where kids dreamed more about having a full meal than setting foot inside a laboratory. But Malik was different. While other children played basketball outside, he sat in a cramped room, digging through old medical textbooks his father had brought home from the hospital. His father, Marcus Brown, was a delivery driver for St. Augustine Hospital, a man with a bent back from years of carrying boxes. Gentle to the point that he never dared look the doctors in the eye. He always told his son, "Do not cause trouble, Malik. They are not like us. They have power." But those very words made Malik burn with the need to prove otherwise. At the age of 12, Malik had won a national competition in molecular biology, surpassing hundreds of older contestants. Newspapers once called him the young black prodigy. Yet his scholarship was quietly withdrawn for a vague reason, unfit due to personal circumstances. In other words, because he came from the Bronx, and because of his skin color. From then on, Malik followed his father on night delivery shifts. While Marcus signed the paperwork, Malik silently observed the doctors, memorizing every reading, every consultation. He studied anatomy through worn-out books and built human body models on a second-hand laptop bought from a street market. But to them, Malik was just the delivery boy who did not know his place. Especially Dr. Harris, the head of the ICU, a man as cold as he was arrogant. Every time he saw Malik hanging around the testing area, he would sneer. "What to be a doctor? Kid, start by learning how to mop the floor properly." Malik never answered, but his eyes never looked down. Because deep inside, he knew, one day, the same people who looked down on him would have no choice but to listen. The ICU that day felt like a wall of despair. On the hospital bed, Emily Grant convulsed in waves. Her fever spiked and dropped without any pattern. Strange purplish red patches spread across her skin, and sometimes she murmured incoherently before slipping back into unconsciousness. 20 doctors had taken turns watching over her. Hundreds of test results had come in, but the only diagnosis they could agree on was an unidentified autoimmune disorder. While Marcus was signing the delivery log, Malik stood quietly by the door, his eyes fixed on the open file on the table. He noticed the liver enzyme readings ALT, AST, and GGT, rising in a sequence he had once seen in an old scientific paper. That pattern reminded him of PFAS poisoning, perfluorooctane sulfonate, an industrial fluorine compound once used in non-stick coatings, detergents, and antibacterial products, a substance banned by most countries years ago. Malik stepped forward and said firmly, "She is not suffering from an autoimmune disease. She is poisoned by PFAS. You are treating the symptoms, not the cause." The room turned toward him. Dr. Harris let out a scornful laugh. "The delivery boy is teaching me environmental medicine now." But Malik did not flinch. He pointed at the chart. "Look at the drop in glutathione levels and the histological changes in the liver. They match PFAS exposure exactly. Did she use any antibacterial plastic products? The kind manufactured before 2015? Silence fell. A flicker of hope appeared in Mayor Grant's eyes. "Run the test," he ordered. "We have nothing left to lose." Hours later, the results came back. Emily's PFAS concentration was 30 times higher than the safe limit. The emergency room exploded in disbelief. Dr. Harris stood frozen, speechless. A detox protocol was initiated immediately. 36 hours later, Emily opened her eyes and whispered, "Dad." The entire city shook with the news. The mayor's daughter was saved by a black delivery boy. Malik did not celebrate. He simply stood in the hallway, watching the lights in the recovery room dim. Then he whispered softly, "Sometimes, the deadliest poison is not the one in our bodies, but the one in our minds." After Emily woke up, St. Augustine Hospital buzzed like it had just witnessed a miracle. News outlets flooded in, calling Malik the boy genius. But while everyone else was celebrating, Malik could not sleep. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. He knew PFAS could not just appear inside a child's body on its own. That compound had been banned for years, existing only in toxicology labs. Someone had deliberately put it into Emily's system. But why, and for what purpose? While Marcus dozed off in a chair, exhausted, Malik quietly opened his old laptop and tapped into the hospital's internal network. He had hacked into it before, only to read paid medical journals, but now, it became his window into something terrifying. Inside the database, Malik found 4 similar deaths over the past 2 years. All were children of politicians or wealthy businessmen. All had the same symptoms. All were labeled under vague reports as rare autoimmune disorders. And every one of them had been treated at St. Augustine. When Malik showed his father, Marcus turned pale. "You are playing with fire. Malik, this is their world. No one can touch it." Malik looked at his father, his eyes filled with both determination and pain. "If I stay silent, how many more children will die the same way? Dad?" He dug deeper into the hospital's shipping records, searching for the source of the PFAS. Buried among thousands of dry entries, one name stood out: Dr. Evelyn Rhodes, a toxicology specialist who frequently signed for PFAS imports for research purposes. Malik began watching her. One night during a delivery, he saw Dr. Rhodes meeting Jonathan Keene, a wealthy businessman notorious for shady political donations to Mayor Grant's campaign. They spoke in whispers, exchanged an envelope, and disappeared into the dark parking lot. The pieces started to fit together. Emily was not just a victim, she was living proof of a larger conspiracy. The hospital had been used as a front for a selective poisoning network, targeting the children of the powerful. When those children fell ill, the perpetrators extorted their families, manipulated politics, and hid it all under the guise of medical research. Malik clenched his fists. He was just a poor black kid, no power, no fame. But he had something they did not have, the truth. Outside the window, the city lights of New York shimmered in his eyes like fire. Marcus stood behind him, resting a trembling hand on his son's shoulder. "If you really want to see this through," he said softly, "then I will go with you." Father and son stared out at the towering hospital in the night. A battle of impossible odds lay ahead, where the one holding the scalpel could also be the killer. And only Malik, with his mind and his courage, had the strength to expose it all. Malik knew he could not fight them head-on. The people lurking in the shadows had more than money, they had power. And the silence of everyone who feared them, He needed a single strike that would make their world collapse from within. One night, sitting in his cramped room before his cracked old laptop, Malik drafted an anonymous email to Dr. Evelyn Rhodes. He pretended to be a private researcher looking to buy additional PFAS samples for independent experiments. Just a few hours later, she replied, agreeing to meet in the basement chemical storage room at midnight. Malik and Marcus hid nearby, planting a phone inside a delivery box with the recorder running. At exactly 12:17 a.m., Dr. Rhodes appeared, key in hand, muttering into her phone, "That boy knows. If he talks, Grant's entire campaign will explode." The words froze Malik in place. She was talking about Mayor Richard Grant, the father the city adored for his dedication. The next morning, the audio recording was sent directly to the mayor's private inbox. And just hours later, an emergency meeting was called at the hospital auditorium. Dr. Rhodes entered, expecting protection. But before her, Mayor Grant coldly tossed a phone onto the table. The recording played loud and clear before the crowded room. "No one must know the PFAS was meant to eliminate Emily if necessary. She is my weakness, and I cannot let the campaign fall apart." Grant's face turned ashen. He had known about the plan and had once agreed to it. Dr. Rhodes collapsed into her chair, fumbling for excuses, but the room had already turned against her. Malik stood up, his voice steady and sharp. "You are not worthy of being a father, and even less worthy of being a leader. You let your own daughter become the victim of your ambition." The room fell into complete silence. Grant lowered his head as tears rolled down his cheeks, but it was far too late. Police officers entered, handcuffing both him and Dr. Rhodes. Dr. Harris, the man who once mocked Malik, quietly approached him. His voice trembled. "I have taught hundreds of medical students, but only you taught me humility." Malik did not reply. He simply looked out the window, where the morning light poured in, the same light Emily Grant could now see again. No longer through the ICU glass. Justice had arrived, not through power, but through the courage of a boy the world once dismissed. 6 months later, spring returned to New York City. St. Augustine Hospital, once drowning in scandal, now bore a new sign. The Malik Brown Center for Toxicology Research. The delivery boy was now the youngest student ever admitted to the National Academy of Sciences, awarded a special scholarship named after himself. But Malik did not just want to study, he wanted to give that same chance to others. He founded the Brown Initiative, a nonprofit project helping underprivileged black children learn about science, technology, engineering, and medicine, driven by the belief that intelligence has no color. His father, Marcus Brown, was invited to lead the hospital's logistics department. Every time he passed the brass plaque with his son's name engraved on it, he would smile quietly, proud beyond words. After the case, the United States government enacted the Brown Act, requiring nationwide testing for banned industrial compounds in all unexplained illnesses. The name of the boy once kicked out of the ICU had become a symbol of justice in medicine. Dr. Evelyn Rhodes was sentenced to life imprisonment. Mayor Richard Grant was removed from office, prosecuted, and lost everything. Only Emily, the child who once lay on the edge of death, had fully recovered. At the award ceremony, she ran up and hugged Malik tightly. "You gave me a second chance at life," she whispered. Malik smiled. "No, Emily, you are the reason I still believe truth matters." The camera panned to Marcus in the crowd, his eyes glimmering with silent pride. Then Malik's voice echoed softly over the final montage, deep and steady. "Justice is not revenge. It is the courage to stand up, even when the world says you do not belong." If you believe that talent can come from anywhere, support this channel. Every share is one small step against prejudice. And in that moment, the audience understood. This story was not just about a black boy saving a white girl. It was about a generation daring to believe that a person's worth is not measured by the color of their skin, but by the light they bring into the world.